Hello everyone, it's November 13 turning into 14 already. Yet here we are, awake with a late night community update by Shibaswap. And I'm going to read it to you aloud with the calmness of pace and thought. So hopefully you can reflect in between the lines by yourself. Quote, if you know the enemy and know yourself, you need not to fear the result of 100 battles. If you know yourself but not the enemy, for every victory gained, you will also suffer a defeat. If you know neither the enemy nor yourself, you will succumb in every battle, unquote. It's good day, shib-army. I often reflect quotes from the greats like Sun Tzu, but never before has a quote been so important in the realm of our decentralized community. Let's examine the quote closely, evaluate our current place and battleground, explain and dispel fear, uncertainty, doubt. Give you some warnings and a few shout-outs to incredible shib-army members doing great things. Ready? Looking for group. Know thyself. If you know neither the enemy nor yourself, you will succumb in every battle. We have seen many cryptos get so-called rocked. This is the risk of investing into a new team, in parentheses, and sometimes even an old established one, in this current landscape. But if you never have invest more than you can lose, then you have eliminated this quote, for you know, quote, yourself, unquote. If you know the enemy and know yourself, you need not fear the result of 100 battles. As a person, this has been with SHIB since February. I exist in this quote. I know myself, my limits and strengths, and I don't fear the daily ups and downs that the fear, uncertainty and doubt and the lies bring to our community. I understand that despite the ignorant masses who still think we are just a meme, we have long-term goals and have put into play one of the most comprehensive, truly decentralized plans in crypto existence. This place, top 10, requires a certain level of responsibility and transparency that we attempt to provide while still offering heart-to-heart conversations and security/privacy for all involved. Despite all these things, we still fight an incredible amount of food. Period. Let's review that last line of Sun Tzu's wisdom. If you know yourself but not the enemy, every victory gained, you will also suffer a defeat. For many in shib-army, this is a reality. They know themselves only until an article of food causes doubt that SHIB is exactly what it says it is in that article. For others, they never look past the surface or take this word out, or take the word of, in quote, authorities, unquote, who even I thought would have our best interest at heart. However, the reality is everyone in SHIB or watching SHIB has their own wish for what happens next to us as a token or to you as a holder. Some want to scare you and cause you to dump so they can quietly amass more. That is greed. For some want to short the token. Again, for greed. Some just want to talk smack on Twitter because they are actually jealous of our multi-million% rise. Again, they do that for greed. And I can say that in the history of mankind or womankind, nothing else has caused so much harm, so much devastation, so much loss than the greed of human being. I continue here. I continue reading, but we as a unit are stronger than the food they have thrown at us, which is why we usually hold steady until a new catalyst takes us to the next level. I have also seen the beauty and wonder of the army. Those who have my back and those who want all of us to succeed. To assist in this move, to make sure we all succeed. I'm arming each and every one of you with the truth, so you can fight any food you see in the upcoming days, months and years. Title: Anti-Food Patrol. The biggest food we had been dealing with stems from the supply of SHIB. So let's dispel this one first. The supply of SHIB was designed to remain static and not burn. That has been since the beginning. There is no inherent burn mechanism such as you would find in other so-called reflect tokens. While for some this may seem to be a disadvantage, it instead gives the option to burn tokens using utility. Example of utility burns are listed below. During the months of our meteoric rise, the amount of SHIB in circulation changed dramatically due to several factors. I can speak for no one else except for one thing, that being that everyone bought their tokens from retail outlets. For example, exchanges. For each exchange, the authority on the amount of tokens has and unfortunately remains for the time being centralized outlets such as CoinMarketCap, owned by Finance. So for we have seen other errors take place on CoinMarketCap's website, including putting the wrong contract address, essentially adding another token to ours, and so on. Luckily, our incredible defense breed handled the situation and mitigated the issue before it got out of hand. In parentheses, an issue I didn't know existed. With This more recent switch during one of our best bull runs, we were completely caught off guard. We were then given different reasons to why this change took place. A surprise to us here because, as mentioned earlier, there are the authority on supply and price for almost the entire industry. We expect to get a response or heads up before this change, but received no information. We expect that because those exchanges know that we also have a manifold team and teams in place. So it would be very convenient for everyone if they communicated somehow. I continue reading. We expected to get a response before this change, but received no communication. After the change, we received no official communication except responses from customer service that changed from a so-called glitch to API change on our part, in parentheses lie, to so-called we fixed it. So the only communication that decentralized exchanges gave us was through a service worker, and their message changed over time multiple times. I continue reading. I expect better from CMC CoinMarketCap, but I stand corrected. Now, before I go any further, please don't go one-starring CMC somewhere in those app stores. We will win by becoming a top 3 token. Instead, we can use this time to graciously request communication from the Binance/CMC team about what happened, because we want to know and expect a response. However, we know and understand it might be that they cannot answer us currently, and I would like to explain why. This will also dispel other fear, uncertainty and doubt. Before I do, I requested a deep dive into our circulating tokens, and the bridge did a great job coming up with an exact total. Again, we would like to have this validated with the help of CMC, but that may not be possible. I will add that supply down at the end of this article. So next, Robinhood food. It's downright silly to think that Robinhood would not list SHIB, like the wallet food. In parentheses, I'm coming to that too. Parentheses closed. This food is out of context. Let's look at what was reported by Fortune and then examine the larger picture. Quote, our strategy is a little bit different than a lot of the other players out there who are just racing to list as many assets as possible right now. Unquote. Brown said at a Crypto Co's mainstream event hosted by crypto publication Decrypt on Tuesday. Quote, we think that the short-term gain we might get is not worth the long-term trade-off for our users. Unquote. Continuing reading, although this is true, it is not the entire quote about Shiba. This is taken from Fortune, written by my friend Grady McGregor. But when we dig a bit deeper, we will see this was actually a dig at Coinbase. And I'm going to give you my and only my opinion on why Miss Brown took this shot at Coinbase. Let's look at the entire quote, shall we, as written by the place that had the event, Decrypt. Quote, the first thing that we are not going to talk about, unquote, Brown said about the decision to list specific assets. More importantly, the company isn't following the road of Coinbase, whose CEO, Brian Armstrong, has vowed to become the so-called Amazon of assets and list every asset that's legal. And Brown appeared to take a shot at Coinbase in her response about SHIB. Quote, I also think that our strategy is a little bit different. So, than a little bit different than a lot of other players out there who are just racing to list as many assets as possible. Right now, Brown said, we think that a short-term gain might not be, So, Brown reiterated that Robinhood is a so-called safety-first company and added, we want to make sure that we are working in assessing everything from a regulatory perspective really well. Continuing. Now this final line is one that is left out by Grady as a result by every other publication, which has infuriated me. Quote, we want to make sure that we are working in assessing everything from a regulatory perspective really well, unquote. So if you were Robinhood and you were assessing everything from a regulatory perspective, because AMC, CAC, etc., what's one of the main things you need to make sure is 100% correct? Yeah, it is supply. And if CMC had it wrong, well then they better get it right. Moreover, they can discuss if this or anything influences their decision to list us. That's all part of the process of the cone of silence. Yeah. Now go reread the quote again with this new perspective. First, we won't talk about it. That's a cone of silence. Second, our strategy is different than Coinbase. Third, we have to be careful to protect the interests of our users, in parentheses, because for real they are under a lot of magnifying glasses by the alphabet boys. Parentheses closed. Note that right after the circulation change, another exchange in the USA began discussing listing SHIB, that is Kraken. And please hear me, Kraken has been really nice and good to us on the team. They reach out and are still working listing SHIB, so lay off with the 1-star reviews, please. Yeah, the army got their revenge. So, continuing to read, but this also proves the same thing. that when working through the regulatory red tape of the USA, it is important to access everything from a regulatory perspective, because if you don't, the short-term gains might not be worth the long-term trade-off. For example, if a token rugs. But Coinbase listed SHIB with no problem, you say, and I say that is why Mrs. Brown took a dig at them, saying they won't rush it. In parentheses, and they shouldn't. But I'm sure they will find we are exactly what we said we are and nothing more. Parentheses closed. Now, do you see how such a simple spin can cause such food that Robinhood so-called won't list us? It's ridiculous hogwash. I personally know how hard it is to nail an interview without causing food or giving away any details of your plan, and I applaud Kristen Brown for her response and give a huge thumbs down to all the media out there who missed the Eastern egg. Yeah. So, you know, there is the need for double check everything, especially with this next food, also from the CMC website. But the entire supply is controlled by like 8 people. Like, what is that? Like what? CMC has an unfortunate issue here by putting on their page that the top 10 wallets hold 80% of. I don't even want to read it. This was so ridiculous. So you go to read the article. By the way, I'm reading a draft here, so all changes, you know, the article Medium post might not appear in this exactly in this shape. So you go read the rest of the article. You know, we know that we are diamond hands here. You know Thyself, diamond hands. You know Thyself. You know it. You know you are the few. Dog park versus Shiba ecosystem. If there is anything, the post of people crying because they sold 1 trillion tokens says that good things come to those who hodl. Do your research and see that we are building something much bigger than ourselves. One of the issues we have seen with this fact is everyone claiming to be an official part of our ecosystem, or others just claiming that I have spoken to them or work with them. Oh, have I done that? No. I'm like one of you. I'm like one of you guys. And you know yourself who you are. Like, it's just learning experience, for example, through these ups and downs we have gone through. It's a learning experience for each of us, for ourselves, knowing ourselves, becoming ourselves, exploring ourselves, and again, rooting deeper into ourselves. That is how I look at it. And I'm no more than any of you. Truly. That comes to from my heart. And just earlier today, I let go of that full Ryoshi Shiboshi. And even though I let go of it, all of it still remains deep in my heart. The one with the orange fade that was originally minted by me Furayoshi. That is really close part of me, but I still am able to let it go because I know that Ryoshi returns. I know it deep in my heart. At least Ryoshi returns for myself. The more I know of myself, of ourselves, because the more each of us knows, the fonder we grow. For ourselves, by ourselves. Alright, I continue. So, one of the issues we have seen with this fact is everyone claiming to be official. Well, because of this tomfoolery, I have been working with the defensive breed to utilize the sniff score, now redesigned from 0 to 100, with 100 being the perfect, okay. To de-alienate between a token or business outside of our core, but still part of our larger ecosystem. We will call this special place the dog park. So while things like Shibarium and Shibaswap are part of our Shiba ecosystem, things that run on Shibarium, yes, I'm looking at you, unnamed token. And more about that later, will be part of this greater dog park. Yes. Introducing the sheep dog park and the sniff score. You know, the other news that I heard, or actually not news, it was behind the scenes happenings, was confirmed that Shibaswap 2.0 is in the makings already. And you know, the difference is that when the first Shibaswap was being developed, the developer team and Satoshi, as he said himself, that he was, working on prayer and, good hope, living on a prayer. There's that song. Anyway, this time with Shibaswap 2.0, everything is so sleekly organized. Everything is, running on the development budget, if you will, if you can want to use that formal term. What it means that when you have, multiple teams and everything organized, isn't that they say now we got a budget, but it's not literally that. It is just that everything is organized. Well, literally it might be that. So we are awesome, shib-army. Yeah, moreover, this dog park and sniff score will allow us to showcase some amazing shib-army members, including Stephen Cooper and his musical Burning playlist, and Empress Robinson, the 4-year-old art prodigy that over 500 real paintings burning ship from her recent NFT drop. Yeah. I can also mention Venezuela with over 80 locations accepting SIP in the country. Can I? This is true decentralization, and we are just getting started. Yeah, this is the beginning. So, in the beginning of this year, I even used no food on every title of my video, because I kind of it should be like, stop signs everywhere, like be aware of food, be aware of freaking scammers, be freaking aware of scammers. Yes, that's like, there should be really reminders popping on anybody who does anything related to crypto. Your phone should have some kind of reminder popping up. That's an app idea, by the way. Be aware, especially for those who are new to this space. You should be freaking aware. I really recommend you read this. True. This is truly important. I mean, Satoshi gives out the examples how much you should really. I mean, security is and has always been, one of the hardest issues with anything related to, monetary currencies and the internet security. Like, I get pop-ups on, in the even the official topics of Twitter, I get pop-ups from scammer accounts, because on Twitter there is no any type of filter how there is no system in place, at least not yet, how they would filter out these reported accounts. So if you use Twitter, I mean, that it's just so ridiculous that there are hugely popular accounts that are being all the time retweeted and liked by people. I don't know how, maybe they advertise it or something, but they got their ways to do these giveaways that no one even can confirm that they are real anyhow, and then they give false impression of everything. I mean, it's so dangerous space that if any of you are new to crypto, you shouldn't even you should only look at the official tweets from the official accounts. That's one piece of advice. But here are many more advices. Here are the advice. Read this. The examples, the red flags. So, no more food. No more food about this token, circulations and whatever. So there are the numbers. There are the transactions. There are the burn wallet. There are the burns that are, related to the listings. Then there is SHIB community members, voluntary burns. There are the burns of Leash'd, self-voluntary burn in the bone, all the contract addresses. This is the beauty of the crypto that was no ever possible before, this transparency. This is trust. It's this level of transparency. It is the deep trust that the mankind has always yearned for, because it has not been possible. So in the history, people had been relying on mouth-to-mouth rumors, sometimes even in the far history, because there is no like now we have blockchain traces transactions from objective neutrality that cannot be changed anyhow. That is really the future of development of mankind. Now we got this trust and transparency. The trust hand in hand with transparency that was no ever possible in the history. And you know, those people who have not yet explored and researched the crypto, this is the number one reason why you should. If you haven't already, you should, because this is going to happen. This is the number one reason why the future will go like transactions that are transparent and decentralized, away from the human greed. Take notes if you are not into crypto yet, because you should. And with that all said, read this article with care, be part of the community. This is all I have to say this evening. It's getting late. I will return with another video very soon, as I mentioned during this video about Shibaswap and some moves there. I will return with the sound of our beloved Shibaswap in a day or two. Subscribe, like, and these updates and channels. I'm not using tricks or treats. That is the norm these days for YouTube. It's up to you if you want to make these videos known or available to other people. It's up to you. Share or do what you like. So long, and we will return. Woof.